Metalheads, and welcome to episode 35 of the Harsh Vocals Podcast. I'm your host, Justin Corbett, and with me is my good friend, Christian Renner. How are you doing today, man?
Just happy to be alive. It doesn't get any better than our world today, does it?
Well, maybe. I mean, it does, yeah.
Does. Yeah, it probably does.
Used to be a little bit better, but...
Yeah, never mind. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Never mind.
At least there's good music. That's the big thing.
And that's why we're here. You got to try and find joy where you can. And I'm leaning into music hardcore. So
yeah, definitely. Well, the last couple of weeks have been kind of an interesting couple of weeks music-wise. Maybe not as stacked as the previous couple episodes have been. Lots of new releases, but I would probably say only 15 to 25 that were really, really good. Yeah. Everything we're going to talk about as far as picks and honorable mentions today, they're all totally worthy of being a pick, and they're all worthy of being checked out. It's one of those kind of weeks. But we both have way smaller honorable mention lists than we typically do. So,
Yep.
And speaking of everything that did come out, before we dive into our picks, Christian and I agreed that we wanted to talk about an album that is kind of a big deal, but maybe not one that we want to give a lot of time or attention to just because they're a big enough band they don't really need our help, and that is Behemoth. They put out a new album called The Shit of God. What a title.
Yep. Great title.
Yeah, so, Behemoth has been very polarizing on social media with metalheads for the last few years, pretty much since The Satanist came out. The Satanist, absolute masterpiece. I think it's widely renowned as that. But I Loved You at Your Darkest. Kind of got mixed reviews. Some people didn't like the softer approach on some of the songs. And then they released Opus Contra Natrum, which I don't think there's a likable song on that entire album. I've tried to listen to it 6 or 7 times throughout the years, and there's just like nothing redeeming about that album. So I had kind of figured that the best of Behemoth was in the past and we just weren't going to get, good stuff going forward. But then they released The Shit of God, which, despite the cringeworthy lyrics and the not great title, there's a lot to really appreciate about this album. Musically, it's the best thing he's done since The Satanist. Vocally, it's a great performance. It's just, the only place where it really is a little bit lacking is the lyrics. And I've read that, The Shit of God is based on a famous poem. I don't know a whole lot about it, but I mean, that kind of makes more sense if that's where he drew it from. But he leans so far into the, satanic side of things, and, I'm Nurgle, I hate God. And he's made that kind of his whole personality on social media that gets a little bit tedious sometimes, but the music is pretty good. So if you were a Behemoth fan in the past and you have not listened to them in a while because you feel similarly about I Loved You at Your Darkest or Opus Contra, I would say check this album out. I was pleasantly surprised with it. How'd you feel, Christian?
I absolutely love the album. It's probably my my most listened to over this 2-week stretch. And I mean, like you're talking about the Contra album, that I pre-ordered that, and I'm sorry. I listened to it, and I luckily I didn't take it out of its sleeve because I'd heard it before it arrived. So luckily I was able to sell it to a local vinyl place. They gave me like $15 for it. And I was like, okay. Because I did not like that album. It was fucking terrible. And like you, I kind of thought, well, maybe Behemoth is, kind of done maybe. And I understand how he's made this whole thing his personality. I mean, he lives in Poland, and Poland is one of the most religious countries in all of Europe.
Yeah.
They are massively religious. And the guy gets pulled into court multiple times for blasphemy and shit like that. So I can understand why this has become his thing.
Yeah, I mean, he won,
get it, but
he won his lawsuits, and I mean, he was acquitted on everything, and it's a massive victory for him and for free speech in Poland, and I get that, but I mean, too much is too much, and he's posting every single day about how amazing it is to be so anti-God, and I mean, we all get it, but it gets to be too much. And then, you know, the song title and the album title, they were released, The Shit of God. It's a little bit too
on the nose,
corny, on the nose, whatever you want to call it. Now, knowing that it came from a poem, kind of makes it a little bit more understandable, I guess. But it's still, if you don't know that factoid, you're just assuming it's Nurgle being Nurgle.
Yeah.
But I really like the album. It is one of my most listened to albums from this past cycle as well. We're not going to play a track because, like we said, Behemoth doesn't really need our help. They're a massive band.
And I mean, if you're listening to this podcast, you've probably already heard this album. I would be shocked if you didn't. So that's one of the reasons. So there's no point in, hey, y'all should check out this really cool band that's been around for 25 years called Behemoth. So
we did want to address it at least so that people weren't wondering why we skipped talking about it. So there you go.
It is a fantastic album, and everything aside, it is definitely one of the best albums to come out this 2-week stretch.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
All right, so now let's get to the bands that we really do want to talk about, the bands we want to highlight. We'll go right into our picks. Christian, you're up first.
All right. The first one I have is the band Ondfot. Ondfot, their album Dimsval. We have black metal from Pietarsaari, Finland. This is their 5th album. They're on Eisenwald, one of the best labels out there. The track that I picked is, I'm going to butcher this. Grimhejtens Ansikt, I guess.
I think the T comes before the J, so it's Grimhejtens.
Okay.
Grim. But yes, it is a challenging title.
Yeah. So, and I mean, the reason that I picked this is this song just gets you going. And the production makes it just sound fucking enormous. It sounds huge. It just takes you on a ride. One of my favorite songs on the album, but there's not a weak song on the album, really. We have Uwe Inbor, the drummer. He was the drummer until 2022, as well as the bassist and the vocals. It was kind of a one-man project up until 2022. And now he actually has the drummer from the band that we highlighted last episode, or the episode before that, the band Dispit.
Mm-hmm.
He joined in 2022, so he is now the drummer. His name is Tommy Tukala. Also added Joel Notkonen on bass, and Jerry Hallinan, who joined in 2023 on guitars. So now they are a full band. It's no longer a one-man project. Yeah, they're really good.
I didn't realize this album was even coming out because somehow it slipped through the cracks with everything that's been going on. But when you told me about it on the last episode, I got super excited, and I went and I found the YouTube stream and I watched it ahead of time before the release. And then I've listened to it several times since then. This is one of the best albums that came out of over the last cycle, 100%. If not the best. I mean, it's a real neck and neck kind of thing between all of these 6 that we have up here.
Yeah,
but this is really excellent black metal. And, if you've never heard Ondfot before, not only is this album phenomenal, but all their previous ones are too. So if you like this, I highly recommend going back and checking out their previous work. I will add a little bit of color to what Christian said too. As far as the name Ondfot, it translates to Evilborn.
Yep.
The name of the album, Dimsval, translates to Fogbank. And then Grimhejtens Ansikt, the track that we're going to play, translates to Face of Cruelty. It's kind of interesting. They're a Finnish band, but they sing all their songs in Swedish, which is kind of a rarity.
I would have never even picked up on that. Yeah, I just know it's not English. And it's
being
not
American,
German.
we just, it's a different language, but just a little tidbit. But this is a fantastic album, a fantastic track. I agree. It's probably one of the strongest on the album. It's a great track to highlight these guys.
I have a couple more things.
Okay.
The main thing that I want to say about this album is it's just filled to the breaking point with equal parts aggression and melody. And this band just keeps getting better and better. So like if you like the varied songwriting with plenty of melody that you're going to find in this song, this whole album is that way. They do a really good job of adding melody into their black metal. And I think they're one of the better bands to do it. So, and this song definitely highlights that. So if you like this, you will like the whole album.
I completely agree.
Yep.
All right, let's go and play the track. This is Ondfot off their album Dimsval, and the track is Grimhejtens Ansikt. That track is just amazing. Super hard to say, but just amazing.
I mean, and they're such a great band. And, we usually put these in somewhat of an order. And, like our final one is usually what we consider the best. But there really isn't a whole lot of difference between our first band and our sixth band on this episode. There's not a drastic difference.
Yeah, they're all very, very close.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on. The next one is my pick, and this is the band Anthropomorphia, their new album, Devoid of Light. This is death metal from the Netherlands. It's their sixth full-length album since 1992. This is a little bit kind of a slower take on death metal. I wouldn't exactly call it doom, although there are some parts that do maybe feel a little bit doomy. It's really kind of just a slow, plodding death metal that explodes. And when it does explode, it's awesome. This is probably the best death metal album that came out this week. Although it's arguable. Maybe our number 2 pick might be a little bit better, but they're both neck and neck. And I couldn't get enough of this. I listened to it a lot. It was very hard for me to decide what order to put these in and what honorable mentions were going to be, since I liked all these albums so much. But Anthropomorphia, they've been around for a long time, since the 90s. This is the first time I've really even heard them. Yeah. And I went back and listened to their last album, and I really like that too. So I need to keep deep diving and going back and listening to their previous stuff, because this is just great. This feels like it was made for me.
Yeah, I came upon this band in 2019 when they released that last album that you're talking about, Merciless Savagery. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah.
And I mean, this here's another one of those bands that just keeps getting better and better. And like you said, they've been around for a long time, and that kind of says something. But like, I went back after I heard them in 2019. I haven't gone all the way back to the 90s era, but I've probably gone back 4 to 5 albums or whatever, and this album is hands down their best album. The other ones are really good as well, but not on this level. This is a fantastic album, and I put in my notes here that like if you put Dismember, Entombed, and Bolt Thrower in a blender, and then just after you got done blending it, added just a little bit of Bloodbath, you're gonna have this band like what you're talking about when it kicks in and they start. There's your Bloodbath. Before that, you got a lot of that Entombed kind of sound, but they're not copying Entombed, so don't go into it thinking that.
Honestly, like the Entombed parts, I definitely hear, but I also hear a lot of Asphyx, and I hear a lot of Benediction, actually, like comparing it to the latest Benediction album. That's probably the most recent thing I can compare it to. So if you like any of those bands, you'll like this for sure. It's very good. But anyways, let's go ahead and play the track, Anthropomorphia, off of their album Devoid of Light. And I chose the title track because I feel like it's the strongest one on the album and the best representative of everything that you hear on the album. So the song is called Devoid of Light. Hope you guys enjoy it. Yeah, that one really does a good job of like illustrating that slowness, building up and then exploding. It's such a good album all the way around. I hope people check it out because these guys, they've been around for a long time, but I think they're not very well known at this point.
Yeah. I mean, after listening to this, it just reminded me how much I kind of miss Bolt Thrower.
Yeah.
And I came upon Bolt Thrower after they were already done. And I was super disappointed because I was like, how the fuck did I not hear this before, while they were still active? And I kind of wish they would come back.
It happens, man.
They were really fucking good.
Stuff slips through the cracks, even today when we have access to everything. Back then it was probably even harder to find stuff.
Yeah. Just doing searches through old fucking CDs at those CD places and hoping to find something with a weird
cool album cover.
And, and it's like, oh, well, I'll check this out. Alrighty. Next up, we have my next pick is a band called Exilium Noctis. The album is called Pactum Diaboli. We have black/death metal from Volos, Greece. Another Greek band. Jesus
Something
Christ.
in the water there.
Yeah, I've probably said this a dozen times by now, but how so many amazing Greek bands are out there for a country that fucking small. It's kind of crazy. This here's their second album, and they're on Black Lion Records, another fantastic metal label. The track that I picked is Priest of Blasphemy. And the main reason is the riffs mixed with the groove in this song, but honestly, I could have picked any song on this album. Every single song on this album is really fucking good. The first thing I did after listening to it was I went back and listened to their debut, and it is also good, but again, this is on a whole other level. It almost sounds like a different band, their debut album, versus this one. And this here's a concept album that explores making a deal with the devil and the consequences by doing that, which I would assume if I was religious would be terrible. So this one here was right up there with the new Behemoth album in terms of quality, within this genre, the Black Death kind of genre. This is more black metal focused, I think, than Behemoth is, but not by a lot. Another album with amazing production that really helps, as everything on this is super crystal clear, and that just makes everything that much better. And here in my notes, all I have written is Greece, ? Am I right? ? Jesus Christ, maybe that's where I need to retire. I keep talking about places to retire.
See
apparently,
a great band every night.
In Greece. Yeah. It's like, fuck. Apparently, you could probably just bump into the guy delivering your milk as, an amazing black metal artist or some shit in that country. Everybody
Throw a
does
stone
it.
and hit one, man. It seems like it. It's a small country with just an amazing output. I mean, that should be their gross national product is black metal.
Black metal, I swear to God. Yeah, it's kind of crazy because I've actually been to Greece multiple times as a small child because my grandfather, he wasn't my paternal grandfather, but my grandmother remarried and he was Greek. And so he came from actually the island of Crete. So as a small child, we went there multiple times. I would love to go back. I actually do still have, there should be some family left from, I don't know them, but who knows? Maybe I will go back one day.
Well, I hope you get to. But I like this album. I like this album a lot too. The first time I listened to it immediately following the first time I listened to the Behemoth album. And I feel like it kind of tainted my perspective on it a little bit initially because they were similar in some ways. And I was on such a high after listening to Behemoth that I was, this is same but different. And so it just didn't resonate with me, quite on the same level that it did on subsequent listens. And so, I waited a little while and went back to it and I was like, okay, this is really good. But the more I've listened to it, the more I've really grown to appreciate it. And it's definitely deserving of being a pick. For me, it reminds me kind of like early Behemoth stuff, mixed a little bit with like God Dethroned. I feel that's a pretty good FFO for this one.
Yeah, the Zaskia Culta.
Yeah.
Yeah, that era. Yeah, I definitely hear that.
And, it's really just an excellent black and death metal album, which is not at all surprising, as we've said several times in the last 5 minutes, because it's from Greece. And everything from Greece seems to be gold. So Let's go ahead and play the track. I feel like if you like Greek black and death metal, you're going to love this too. Again,
If you like Behemoth, you're going to like this.
Yes, it's Exilium Noctis. The name of the track is Priest of Blasphemy off their album Pactum Diaboli. Hope you enjoy it.
Man, that is such a good record. And, is it Behemoth level? I think the Behemoth album is just slightly better, but not by a wide margin.
Yeah, I agree completely. All right, well, moving on to my next pick. This is an album that I was not expecting, that completely blew me away the first time I listened to it, and I've listened to it the most out of everything that came out because it is probably the most accessible album to be released that's also excellent. And it's the band Pandemia with their album Darkened Devotion. So this is death metal from Czechia. It's their 6th full-length album since 1995. But these guys have been on hiatus for a little over 10 years. And then they came back and put this thing out, and holy cow, what an album. Every single song is just a certifiable banger. Just incredible melodies, and lead guitar work is amazing. The drums are phenomenal. The vocals are killer. Everything about this is just badass. And the more I've listened to it, the more I've loved it. It's an album that I've gone back to just over and over again throughout this cycle. And I've been working diligently on my mid-year best of list for an upcoming episode. And, this is throwing a wrench into my works because I already, pretty much had things solidified. And now I got to find room for not only this, but also the next album I'm going to talk about. So it's really good, is really all I can say. If you like Exhumed, I think that's probably the only band I can think of that has kind of a similar sound. You'll really like this. But if you like melodic parts in your death metal at all, I think you'll enjoy it too. I will say, if you try to look them up on Metallum, there are about 16 bands named Pandemia. So you got to make sure you're looking for the right one. But yeah, just killer music. What did you think of this one, Christian?
This here, I get a whole lot of mid-era Vader off of this
I hear
album.
Vader a little bit too. Yeah.
And I just put in my notes, and just an FYI, I love Vader. I think they're one of the best death metal bands out there. But I wrote in my notes, this is the album Vader wished they had written. Because this is better than, I think this album is better than probably anything Vader has done in the last 3 or 4 albums, really. And don't get me wrong, those albums are really good, but this one here beats them.
Yeah. Well, that's enough trying to sell it to you. Let's go ahead and play the track, because that should do it for us. So again, this is the band Pandemia off of their latest album, Darkened Devotion. And the track that I picked is called Heights of Your Fear. God, I love that song.
That's so aggressive. Just
Yeah. It's one of
in the face.
It's one of the longer songs on the album, but I thought it was one of the best ones too. Not that any of them are, not great. This is just the one that stuck out to me, and that melody just it's like an earworm. I hear it all the time, even when I'm not listening to it. So that's a testament to it being an amazing album. So hopefully people check it out. I think everybody will dig this one.
Yeah, if you like death metal at all, I would be shocked if you don't.
All right, so moving on to the other incredible straightforward death metal album that came out this week.
Yep.
This is one of Christian's picks.
This here is the band Sphere. Not exactly a death metal name. Their album Inferno. We have death metal from Warsaw, Poland. The track that I picked is Canto number 3, Gula. This here's a perfect example of what this album is all about. Well, actually, I could have picked any, really, but this whole album is just stacked. So, shocked to find out that this album is the 5th, and I'm just now hearing about this band. And I don't know how the fuck I have not heard of this band before, because this here's what I absolutely positively love in death metal. My highest rated album of this 2-week stretch was some of the best guitar work I've heard on a death metal album all year. The leads on this thing are just, chef's kiss. I mean, they're so fucking well done. This is aggressive with a capital A, but still with plenty of melody and riffs that would work really well, melting Nazi faces and Raiders of the Lost Ark. And that's kind of what I pictured in my head. This does such a great job of creating slight little moments that feel like a chance to catch your breath right before just driving back in. Just might be my favorite death metal album of the year so far. And I'm trying to think of some of the other death metal albums that I really enjoyed this year, and this is right up there. If it's not my favorite,
it's excellent.
It'd be right up there.
So, my feelings on Sphere are affected by my listening order, unfortunately, because it was the first album that I heard in this cycle, and I was completely blown away by it the first time I heard it. Immediately like, wow. I even messaged you right away, and I was posting about it online. I was like, this is easily going to be the best album of the week. And then there was so much other good stuff that I didn't spend as much time with it as I should have. I wrote it off in my head as being excellent, and that it didn't require as many listens. And I've been dealing with so much other stuff, just, work-wise and family life and other, not as much time to listen as I typically would have. Plus, I've been trying to do my mid-year stuff, as I already mentioned. So just hasn't been as much time to return to it. So I probably only heard this album, 6 or 7 times, which is a low number for a 2-week stretch for me. But it is undeniably an excellent album. I knew it from the first time I heard it. And every time I've heard it since then, I'm constantly being reminded how good it is. As far as where it's going to end up, towards my end of the year placement and things like that, I have no clue because I haven't spent enough time with it. But it's one of those that has a check mark next to it that I need to spend more time with it because it's not incredibly dense, but it's just dense enough that I need to put another 10 to 15 listens into it to really get it.
Especially those leads, man. Those leads are so fucking good.
But it's a fantastic album, and you can tell that from the first listen. I think people are really going to appreciate just this song even. And if you do, definitely check out the full album. Even go back and check out their previous stuff because I need to do that as well. That's on my to-do list. There's just so much music and not enough time. That's the that's the problem. I'm complaining that I've only gotten to listen to something 6 times, and for most people that would probably be crazy. But it's honestly, I want to give everything a fair shot and devote as much time as it warrants. And sometimes it's just impossible to do with life. So.
Well, especially when you also consider, did we try and find this on vinyl? I think I did, and it's not available on vinyl, or...
I don't think it is yet. I think they're working on, I think I saw on Instagram that they're working on a pressing, but it's not available yet, because...
Yeah, because I could see this being phenomenal on vinyl.
Yeah, this is one of those that, the first time I listened to it, I immediately went looking for the vinyl. That's how you know it's a good one.
Yep, I did that this morning. I have 2 pre-orders in and hopefully a third. So from stuff that I listened to this morning. So
nice. Well, let's go ahead and play the track. Again, this is Sphere off of their album Inferno, and the track that Christian picked is called Canto 3 Gula. What a killer song, man.
Yeah. God.
So good.
The guitar work. I'm just blown away by the fucking guitar work.
You know, the only other thing that I really had in my notes is that, you know, if you go to Metallum and search for Sphere, there's even more spheres than there were Pandemias. So
yeah, it took me a while. It took me a while to find the background
too. Yep. Oh man, but it's a great album, and you know, pretty much any of these we've talked about so far, you know, these all could have been my number one for the week, except that there was one album that immediately got its hooks in me that I am just madly in love with. And it may not be for everybody. This is probably the most challenging album we're going to talk about. And it's the band Jade. They put out this really just impressive atmospheric death metal album called Mysteries of a Flowery Dream. They're from Germany and Spain. They're an international band working together. This is their second full-length album since 2018. This is not like any other album I've ever heard in my life, I don't think. I've heard pieces of other bands in this, you know, the atmospheric death metal part, you know, there's not even really that many atmospheric death metal bands. There's tons of atmospheric black metal bands, but you don't really hear a lot of death metal bands building this kind of atmosphere. And, you know, I'm very averse to clean singing unless it's really well done. This album is layered with clean singing from beginning to end, but it's not at the forefront. Only the death metal growls are at the forefront. All the clean singing is like this choral kind of sound that's at the same level as the instruments or even lower. So like there is clean singing, but it's always in the background and never overshadowing anything else. And it's a really unique way to approach the music. I thought this was just a really innovative take on atmospheric death metal as a genre as a whole. And I've returned to this over and over again. This is probably my second most listened to album behind Pandemia, but it is a little bit more challenging because of the nature of the music. Each song's a little bit longer, you know, 6 or 7 minutes each one. Even the track that I picked to play, I think is about 6 minutes, but I do think it's one of the more aggressive tracks on the album, so it's maybe a little bit more accessible for everyone. But this is one of those that I bought on vinyl, you know, immediately after listening to it, and I've already found a spot for this in my mid-year best of list because I absolutely adore this. So I hope that you guys do too. What did you think about it, Christian?
Yeah, this is easily the best mixture of black metal with, you know, they're kind of a death doom band too. So you mix all three of those together. This is easily the best mixture of those three genres that I've ever heard. They reminded me just a tiny little bit of, you know, the band Suffering Hour?
Yeah. Okay, I can kind of hear that.
The Minnesota band, you know, in 2021 they had that album Cyclic Reckoning that was, maybe just a touch of Ruins of Beverast.
I do hear a little bit of that too. Yeah.
And like you, I definitely want this on vinyl. Yeah, it's a fantastic album.
It's on their Bandcamp. You know, you can buy it for $25 plus $7 shipping, so it's not outrageous. You know, it's always nice when you can find an album for about $30 or $35 because overseas shipping is stupid most of the time these days.
Well, right now the shipping is costing more than the album on a lot of stuff coming out of Europe. And
thank God for Blast Beats vinyl. That's all I can say.
Yep.
All right, well, let's go ahead and play the track. Again, this is Jade off their album Mysteries of a Flowery Dream, and the track that I picked is called Darkness in Movement. it's simply beautiful. I mean, it's aggressive and dark, but it's also very beautiful. The whole album is just full of this flowery melody on top of all of the heaviness. And God, I'm amazed by this album.
Yeah, it works so incredibly well. And if you would have told me, a black and death doom band, I'd have been, that might be pretty good, but there's not many bands that are doing that, and certainly not at this level. So, like I said, this is probably the best album that I've ever heard using that combination.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. So, highly recommend checking that one out. Check out all of the bands we talked about so far and our honorable mentions, which we're going to talk about now. Everything these past 2 weeks has been pretty good. So, Christian, I'll let you cover your honorable mentions first.
All right. My first one, and this was super, super close to being a pick. It's the band Dagdrom, Dagdrom. Their album Schauder, Schauder. This is a black metal band from Würzburg, Germany. There's their debut album from Rising Nemesis Records. And if you're a fan of, let's just say Celeste, but more of a focus on the black metal, and maybe mix in just a tiny little bit of Dodsrit, you're going to get kind of close to what these guys sound like. And I'm a big fan of that.
It's kind of like a post-black kind of thing in places, but it's a little bit more straightforward black metal in times too. I really like this album as well. You listened to it way before I got to it, and you were raving about it. And, immediately when I listened to it, I was like, okay, well, that's going to be a Christian pick because he's been so excited about it. So I kind of assumed it wouldn't be a pick for me, but, just like with you, it was very hard to pick my top 6. So it's a very good album. I like that a lot too.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if you would have taken Sphere, I would have taken Dagdrom. So, that's the only reason that I pivoted off of that and took Sphere. Next up, I have a band called No Raza. Just 2 words, no, and then Raza. The album is called Tyrona. We have death metal from Bello, Colombia. This is their 5th album from Noble Demon Records. If you're a fan of Decapitated, Suffocation, maybe Vader with a bit of a thrash vibe, you're gonna dig this. I mean, this album is just filled with riff after riff. This is just very riff heavy, and if the listeners have been able to tell, I love riffs. So this really worked for me. Next up, we have For the Pyres. The album is called At the Pyres of Sin. We have death metal from Borås, Sweden, another debut album on Gruesome Records. If you like Necrophobic, Unleashed, or Dismember, you are going to like For the Pyres.
I loved this album, to be honest. I feel like their songs could do with just the tiniest bit of editing. Like there's just a little bit too much going on in places. And if they just peeled that back just a little bit, this would be damn near perfect. But I listened to this one a lot too, and I really loved it.
Yeah, like you're saying, if they did a little bit of editing, I could have easily seen this as a pick. It's like you said, it's just a little bit long in certain spots. And I mean, for other people, that may not bother them. Who knows? Next up, we have the band Hate Within, Tomb of the Tormentor. Symphonic deathcore. And if anybody knows me, they know I'm not a huge fan of deathcore. So if I pick something, then I must have been very impressed by it. And this is an international band. They're unsigned. This is their debut album. If you like Lorna Shore or Shadow of Intent, maybe, you're going to like this. Again, riffs. It was
a little too deathcore-y for me, but it's weird how our tastes with that kind of stuff, because we both will like fringe deathcore bands, the ones that are mostly death metal with like a little bit of deathcore places. But like that Turin album last year, I absolutely fucking loved, but you were kind of indifferent to. This one, you loved, but I was kind of indifferent to. It's not that it's bad. It's just, the deathcore parts are a little overwhelming for me. And I'm like, I don't need a breakdown this often.
Yeah. And I mean, that's one of the things that I usually don't like about deathcore. If it seems like the songs are written in a formulaic manner, like, all right, here's where the breakdown goes. And, and every song has to have a breakdown at the 3/4 mark. And that's what I will dislike about deathcore. These guys vary it up just a little bit, so it doesn't seem like it's so formulaic. And I think that's why I kind of gravitated towards it. And again, mainly the riffs is what drew me into this. They have such great riffs. Me being a big fan of thrash, and let's be honest, thrash is all about the riffs. So if you have those, I'm probably going to be in. So So that's where to go for that. Next up, we have Concrete Age, Awaken the Gods. And I just wrote down in my notes here, this is kind of unclassifiable. I don't really know what kind of genre this is because it's kind of all over the place. They're from Russia, but they've moved to the UK in 2016. This is their 10th album, and the first time I've heard of this band. They're on Soundage Productions, and they have, I guess for fans of, I have written down here Melakesh, maybe a little bit of Orphaned Land, and all of this is a base, but they are definitely their own thing. They definitely have that folk kind of vibe to them that Melakesh and Orphaned Land has, but nowhere near as much as those bands. So like you wouldn't necessarily call them a folk metal band. So it's almost like the folk elements are kind of used as like icing, almost. Yeah. It feels like. So if that sounds even remotely interesting to you, give this one a shot. Give it a couple of songs.
I thought it was an really interesting album. I didn't love all the vocals, but I'm super picky about that. But musically, it was a very interesting album.
Yeah. And, if you can show me some stuff that, like I haven't heard before, you're probably going to catch my attention. So next we have Death Before Dishonor. The album is called Nowhere Bound. This is hardcore / crossover from Boston. This is the 6th album from Bridge 9 Records. And if you like Hatebreed or the band Full Blown Chaos or Agnostic Front, you are going to like Death Before Dishonor. And it's been a while since I've really enjoyed a hardcore crossover album. And this one definitely worked for me. Then finally, the last one I have is a band called Druth. I'm going to go with Drouth. The album is called The Teeth of Time. We have black / death metal from Portland, Oregon. This here's their 3rd album. This band is still unsigned, which I don't quite get. But if you like bands like Ulcerate or Gorguts, but with way more of a black metal influence and use of melody, you're going to like Druth. So,
yeah, I really like that album a lot too. If you hadn't taken it as an honorable mention, I probably would have. It was one that I listened to probably 3 or 4 times, and it was quite good. It's just there were a few things that were a little bit stronger, in my opinion. But any other week,
I thought the same.
It probably could have been a pick. I mean, it's another testament to how good this cycle was overall.
And again, there's so many... Like, Druth is new to me. Jesus Christ. The amount of shit that you and I listen to, and we still come up with, like, bands that have got 10 albums out, and...
we never heard them before. Yeah, it's crazy.
It's like, how the fuck does that happen? But perfect example of you can't hear everything. So.
That's very true. You can try. We do.
Yeah, we definitely try. But that's all I have.
Okay, well, I've got a small list myself. The first one for me is a band called Moors Silens, Silens. They put out an album called Infernal Legacy. It's melodic death / black metal from Hungary, and it's their 4th full-length album since 2005. Another band that I've never heard before. Oddly enough, the name, anytime I see Moors, I immediately think Mors Principium Est, because I'm a huge fan of them. This sounds a lot like Mors Principium Est, if Mors Principium Est was more of a blackened death metal band rather than a death metal band. And, the name obviously clicks with me, but then the music fits that mold as well. So this is really great melodic black and death metal. It's a really strong, straightforward album like that. And if you like that style of music, I think you'll really enjoy this. It's easy listening, in my opinion.
Yeah.
For the type of music we listen to, it's very accessible.
I was actually listening to this album quite a bit, anytime that I was actually playing a video game or something.
Yeah, it's great background music.
Moment, yeah.
It's something you can listen to while you're doing other things. And as many challenging and amazing, dense, progressive, kick-ass albums as we find, sometimes it's nice just to find a really straightforward, fun, easy listening album, because you need those too. So that's definitely what this is.
I love running into those every now and then.
Yeah, me too. So next up is the band Lamenting Satanus. They put out an album called Invocations. This is blackened death metal from the U.S. That's their 2nd full-length album since 2024. There's really no information about this band out there anywhere. I did a little bit of research on Metallum and Google and Bandcamp. This is their first album. They're unsigned. The band members are listed as number 1 through 4. They don't even have letters, as many black metal bands do. They're just 1 through 4. They got numbers. But this is pretty great. If you like black and death metal, there's a lot of melody in this, and it's a very, very good album. Very solid. Like, it's probably like 8 out of 10. So,
yep,
pretty good. Next is the band Nail by Nail. They put out an album called Embraced by Darkness. Black metal from Germany. It's their debut album. This is a little bit more raw kind of black metal. Yeah. There's tons of melody. I don't even know if raw is the right term. Like, it's more of a lo-fi sort of production.
Yeah, the production is what kicked me out of this one.
But I liked this a lot. This is one that I wish I had spent more time with, and I plan to spend more time with as the year goes by, because the black metal portions of this are exactly what I love. The first time I heard it, I knew it was going to be in consideration as a pick. It's just so much other good stuff came out. So if you like that lo-fi black metal, you will absolutely dig this. Next is the band Crimson Crown. It's a solo project. He put out an album called Ve Victus. This is black and death metal from Russia with tons and tons of melody. It's very good. Like, it's kind of hard to explain all these bands, back to back, because they're all in the black and death metal realm, and you can't really say a lot to differentiate them. But this one is very good. Lots of melody, lots of really catchy hooks. I listened to this one, I don't know, probably 5 or 6 times. This is another one that I think is very accessible if you already like extreme genres. So it's another fun, like, background kind of album. And then the next album is a band called Nihil Chaos. This almost ended up being a pick for me pretty much until the 0 hour. The album's called Mystagogue. This is black metal from Istanbul, their third full-length album since 2003. This is another one that's a little bit lo-fi, but it's very rock and roll inspired black metal. There's a lot of Spectral Wound I hear in here. There's a lot of, like, maybe not quite Sidon, but kind of Sidon. There's also a lot more lengthy parts that are kind of atmospheric and meandering. And they do some experimental stuff. They do some parts with, like, spoken word and, more like acoustic kind of guitars before leading into the more black metal stuff. So it's an interesting album. It's really straightforward in places, but also a little bit experimental. I thought it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this one. What did you think of this one, Christian?
I liked it a lot. And I think it's, in the black metal sections, it's one of the most aggressive black metal albums I've heard all year. And I love the way they break it up and put those moments of melody in there, because that makes those aggressive sections, the black metal sections, sound even more aggressive. So yeah, it's a great mixture. And yeah, if you wouldn't have picked this as a honorable mention, I certainly would have.
Yeah, cool. And then my very last one is a band called Harvested. They put out an album called Corrupted Sense of Survival. This is death/groove metal from Colorado. Debut album. These guys are unsigned. This is a really impressive debut. I mean, we always find that these bands that are brand new, unsigned, putting out music on their own, that are just so impressive. And for, a band that really doesn't have any pedigree members that are from other bands that are already established, it's super impressive what these guys have put out. It's not perfect. It's definitely something that, they'll continue to improve as they release new things. But for a debut, holy smokes, what an album. I liked it a lot. And the past couple of years, I've really been enjoying groove-infused death metal, and this just scratches that itch for me. It's exactly what I look for when I'm trying to find that kind of music.
This and that fun death metal that's become a thing now is, I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Yeah. Me too. And that does it for honorable mentions. As I said several times throughout this, everything we've talked about today has been excellent. So if any of it sounds like something you'd enjoy, please check it out. Please support the bands. If you can buy their albums, please do so. And stay tuned for June, July for our best of the year so far list. We're both diligently working on that.
And just so you all know, I would assume most metalheads already know this, but if you're not aware, just buying like a CD for $15 from these bands or buying a vinyl for $20 from these bands, that's almost the equivalent of, I think the number is like 10,000 streams on Spotify. So yeah, just that little bit. If you do enjoy it and you have the finances to buy these albums, absolutely buy them. Yeah. And even better yet, wait for Bandcamp Friday where,
more of the money goes to the bands.
Buy
it on Ampwall. Ampwall already gives more of the money to the bands, or if you can support them directly too, that's always an option. It's just really important to both Christian and me that people do support the bands, because without the listeners, they're not going to be able to afford to keep making music. So, he and I always buy a lot of merch. We always buy stuff and try to support the bands financially when we can. And hopefully our listeners do the same.
Yeah. And that's part of the reason this show got started.
Yep. All right. Well, moving on to our topic for the episode. So I called the episode Fake Metal for two reasons. Number one, I am so tired of Sleep Token discourse.
Oh, I'm right there with you.
Sleep Token is not a metal band. I'm just gonna throw this out there. They're not a metal band. They've even publicly stated that they don't consider themselves to be a metal band, and yet all these people that are massive fans of them keep trying to shoehorn them into metal because they have fast guitars for 30 seconds on like two of their songs, and because they, have a metal aesthetic when they're performing, which is fine. They're a metal adjacent band. If people listening to Sleep Token like those aggressive parts and try to seek out other aggressive music and become fans of metal, I'm all for that. I can't disparage them for being popular. I can't disparage them for the type of music they put out. It's not for me, but maybe it's for other people. Obviously, a lot of people seem to like them. But I'm just so tired of the online bickering about it. And
I'm right there with you.
I'm constantly seeking other metalheads on social media because I want to promote the show. I want to talk about new albums that have come out. I want to discover things that I somehow missed this year. And, while I do have a great community on Twitter, I'm constantly looking on Blue Sky and Threads and other places to try to find, like-minded individuals. And people are always posting, hey, recommend me metal stuff, recommend me albums. And you're like, okay, well, what do you like? And then you vet these people. And it's really just as hard as like vetting, Nazi bands. Like you got to go and look at their last like 35 posts and see if they've been raving about Sleep Token and metalcore bands or whether they actually like real extreme metal. And it's very hard to find people that are into the same music you are, even within, the metal communities online, because so many things that aren't metal get called metal, and it's frustrating. It's frustrating for me, at least. But anyways, that's just my little rant that I wanted to throw into this episode. That's not really the intention of this fake metal episode.
No.
Christian had a fun idea, much like his disease or death metal game. So we're going to try another game that he's come up with, but I'll let him explain it before we dive in.
Yeah, we're having trouble, kind of like the bane of our existence is trying to come up with a good discussion topic because we don't want to repeat ourselves. And you can only complain about Nazis so much. Well, I guess you could complain about Nazis every day, and you should, but sometimes it's after a heavy episode like that, you kind of just want to have a little bit of fun. So I came up with a game where I will ask Justin whether this is a real band or a fake band that I just made up. And I figured if I just said the name, since him and I both listen to a lot of music, it could very well be that, the real bands that he would have already heard of. And so I decided let's make a little bit of a fake bio for the fake bands along with a fake album and maybe even a couple of fake songs, to make it a little bit harder. And so that's what I came up with. So is this a real band or is it bullshit? So that's what this discussion topic's going to be, and I hope y'all enjoy this. I think it'll be fun. I think I've come up with some pretty good ones. Correct
me if I'm wrong, but you tended to focus on grindcore as a genre too, yep. Which, because that my knowledge in that particular subgenre is not as deep in some others.
It probably would not be, and plus... honestly, what one of the reasons is I was looking ahead and I saw one of the bands that came out today is a band called Brutal Sphincter. And so I was like, man, that just sounds like a fake band. And I was like, well, shit, I bet you, if a lot of the grindcore bands, they do sound kind of fake. They just sound so far over the top that, most of these will be in that genre or brutal death metal or in that area. I'm trying to trick Justin as much as I can. I don't know how well it's going to work, but if nothing else, this should be kind of funny. So we'll start out with, is this a real band or is it not? We have a band called Mucus Cathedral. This is a symphonic death doom band from Helsinki. Their live shows include ritual-style choirs, and these people in the choirs are usually wearing plague masks. They have an album called The Phlegmatic Mass. And they have songs called Sinus Throne and Viral Benediction.
All right, I'm going to say...
Is that a real band?
No, that's a fake band.
They are fake.
It's clever, though.
All righty. Moving on to number 2. We have a band called Goat Realtor.
All right.
They're a mysterious one-man black metal project from Idaho, themed entirely around cursed livestock and suburban decay. They have an album called Escrow of the Damned. They have songs that include Closing Costs in Blood and Zillow of Fire.
I mean, if this was a real band, this sounds like something I would listen to, but I don't think it's a real band.
No, it is not a real band. I kind of figured the first two would be difficult to get past you. I mean, Goat Realtor, I mean, come on. Even a grindcore band would struggle to, hey, we're Goat Realtor. You know, yeah, that'd be kind of difficult. Then let's go with number 3, a band called Bathtub Shitter. We have a grindcore band from Japan known for combining brutal riffs with toilet humor and social commentary. We have an album called 97 plus 3 Shit Points, and songs like Hot Shit Hits and Brown Bomb in 99. Is that a real band or is it fake?
I mean, the fact that it is from Japan kind of makes it all seem real. So I'm going to guess that's a real band.
It is a real band.
All right.
And, you know, that the 97 plus 3 Shit Points.
That sounds like a Japanese title.
How great of an album title is that? Holy shit. That is great. Then we have the band Pissgrave. We have filthy, raw death metal from Philadelphia, infamous for grotesque album art and even gnarlier sound. We have albums like Suicide Euphoria and songs like Blood Fog and Impaled Vibration.
That's not a deep enough cut because I remember the Pissgrave album from last year or earlier this year, so that's a real one.
Yeah, they are real. I kind of figured that. I knew that band too, so I was like, I'd be shocked if you didn't know this one. So I haven't fooled you yet, so let's go with number 5, Severed Unicorn Hoof. Post-black metal from Scottish Highlands with Celtic folk elements. Every show ends with the band destroying a stuffed unicorn on stage, which is super interesting. They have an album called My Little Necronomicon, and they have songs called Glitter Blood and Prance of the Damned.
Man, it almost sounds real. The fact that it's in Scotland, you know, a lot of that aligns pretty well, but then parts of it sound not like it should be from there at all. So I'm going to guess fake.
It is fake. All right, let's go to number 6. The band Rectal Glacier.
Okay.
This is an Icelandic grind band formed during a bar fight in Reykjavik during a different show. And the album packaging comes in a frozen meat tray, which that was actually only their first album that they did that with. I guess it was just something to get them some notoriety.
Some publicity.
Yeah, the album was called Slippery Collapse. And they had songs on there called Icy Passage and Anal Avalanche.
I'm going to guess fake, but I hope it's real.
They're fake. That's a fake band.
I'm what, 7 for 7?
Yeah. Yep, you are 7 for 7. Well, 6 for 6.
Okay.
All right. Then we have a band called Torso Fuck. This is a Finnish brutal death metal band with ultra-graphic lyrics and guttural vocals. They have an album called Erotic Diarrhea Fantasy.
All right.
And they have a They have songs called Raped by Elephants and Worm Infested Rectum.
I'm going to guess that's real.
They are real. How are you getting all these? Goddamn. I mean, Raped by Elephants didn't sound fake? Come on.
No, that actually sounds like exactly what a band called Torso Fuck would write.
Yeah, I guess Raped by Elephants, you know. Hey,
Yeah.
you know, and that's a story, you know.
I'm sure, yeah.
I'm willing to bet you don't live past being raped by an elephant, but
I
could
wouldn't
be
think
wrong.
so. No.
I would. Then we have a band called Blast Beat Librarian, a one-man grind noise project from Milwaukee who samples public domain audiobooks and plays it over blast beats. Their album is called Late Fees of the Abyss, and they have, Shushhammer and Silence in D minor.
Have you ever seen the movie UHF, Weird Al's original comedy movie from the 80s?
I have not, but I've heard about it.
So he takes a bunch of like public access TV shows and changes them to make them more entertaining to try to save his TV station. And one of them is Conan the Librarian. And this kid's like returning his book, and he goes, "Don't you know the Dewey Decimal System?" And then he like cuts the kid in half. That's what that reminds me of.
Maybe that's where this band came from.
I'm gonna guess it's fake, but I would love to be proven wrong.
No, this is a fake band.
Ah, man.
Yeah. Then we have Gnaw Their Tongues. This is a Dutch experimental black noise act with disturbing textures and themes, like very disturbing. This is definitely not for the faint of heart. They have an album called Genocidal Majesty and songs like Spirits Broken by Swords and 10 Bodies Hanging.
That sounds real. I'm going to guess real.
That is real. Yeah. Man, I cannot fake you. I cannot fake you out. Next up, we have the band Hacksaw Confetti, a neon-themed deathcore band from Las Vegas who perform in party hats and spray blood-colored glitter. They have an album called Birthday Massacre in 1986. It was just Birthday Massacre 86. They have a song called Pinata Slam and Candles for the Corpse.
I'm going to guess true.
That is a fake band. I got one.
You got one. All right.
I got one. Hacksaw Confetti.
It sounds kind of like a combination of Party Cannon and Gwar. So I was like, maybe.
Yep. All right. I'll be surprised if you don't get this one right. The band is called Sacred Jorts. So jean shorts, Sacred
Right.
Jorts. This is a Midwestern stoner metal trio known for denim-themed lyrics and an actual clothing collaboration with Levi's, which is kind of surprising. They have an album called Denim Communion. They also have songs on that album called Thread Count of the Beast and Fade to Jean.
I love your attention to detail, but I'm going to say fake.
Yeah, that's fake. I would have been surprised if, even I would be like, Jesus Christ, that's a terrible fucking name. Sacred Jorts.
Of all the fake ones, though, like the Librarian one and the Goat Realtor both sound like projects I would totally listen to.
Oh, yeah. I would listen to any of these bands. You have an album and you're collaborating with Levi's because you're singing about fucking denim? Hell yeah, I'm in. Then we have a band called Chainsaw Castration. We have an underground brutal death metal band known for their hyper-violent imagery and impossibly fast drumming. They have an album called Involuntary Cranial Excision, and they have songs on that album called Contorted and Aborted and Enucleation Euphoria.
That sounds real.
It is real. Chainsaw Castration. That sounds like a bad day.
Yeah. Most grindcore bands and albums and song names sound like a bad day.
Yeah, very bad day. Then we have a band called Tumor Choir. This is a funeral doom band from Portland featuring a 6-person vocal ensemble. They record all vocals in abandoned hospitals. They have an album called The Malignancy How do you say that? The Malignancy Cantata. They have a song called Stage 4 Serenity and Incision in G minor.
That sounds fake.
It is fake.
Okay.
I was hoping that, by saying that I couldn't figure out how to say that word, that it would trip you up. But yeah.
The recording in abandoned hospitals is kind of a nice little detail, though.
Yeah, I don't know how you would get away with doing that, but I don't know. I just thought it'd be funny. So
that's where half
next
the music videos try to appear get recorded.
Yeah. The next band we have is Nipple Guillotine. We have a gore grind parody band from Florida with shock humor and absurd stage props. They have an album called The Lactation Execution. They have songs called Milk Before Execution and Breastfed in the Morgue.
It sounds real.
That is fake. 2.
Ah, nice. You got 2 of them.
Yeah, there we go. Nipple Guillotine. All righty.
I mean, it's a pretty good shtick. It could work for a band out there.
Yeah, it could. Most of these could work, really, if you think about it.
Yeah.
Next, we have a band called Blood Duster, an Australian grind hard rock band. They mix grind with hard rock, which is kind of weird. Known for their tongue-in-cheek lyrics and genre-hopping chaos. They move around to a shit ton of genres. They have an album just called Cunt. They also have, and just so you know, this took a little while. They have songs called I Just Finished Sucking Off Metalheads in the Men's Urinals and A Tracksuit Is Not Appropriate Metal Apparel.
I'm going to guess that's true.
That is a real band.
Yeah.
With songs I Just Finished Sucking Off Metalheads in the Men's Urinals.
Yeah, that album title sold it as a real band.
Cunt. Yeah, That would definitely do it. If they're not a grindcore band, they definitely should be. Then we have a band called Dank Messiah. They're a stoner death metal from Colorado with lyrics about weed and biblical plagues. They have an album called Burning Bush Sessions, and they have songs Leviticus Bong Rip and High Moses.
I'm going to guess that's real.
That is a fake band.
Oh, that's another good one. Yeah.
I kind of thought if I put a weed band in Colorado, it would kind of,
I mean, it sounded plausible for sure.
It sounded. Then we have a band called Worm Rot, a Singaporean grindcore band known for furious riffs and sharp political lyrics, revered in the global grind scene. They have an album called Dirge with songs called No One Gives a Shit and Semi-Conscious God-Sized Dumbass.
Well, Wormrot is a little too mainstream, so I know they exist.
Yeah. I was kind of wondering about that one. All right, next we have Toilet Christ. Blasphemous toilet-themed death grind from New Jersey, famous for flushing a golden toilet on stage during breakdowns. They have an album called The Baptismal Flush with songs Bidet of the Damned and Porcelain Messiah.
Bidet of the Damned is pretty clever wordplay, but I think it's fake.
Yep, that is fake. Come on, Bidet of the Damned. That's a great song.
That's a great title.
If there's a band out there that wants to use that as a song title, you go right ahead. More power to you. And let me know because I want to hear a song called Bidet of the Damned. Then we have Wormflem. This is a Finnish funeral doom band whose sound is as disgustingly slow as their name suggests. And they're only a cult following type band, so there's very few people that know about them. They have an album called Tomb of the Ancient King, and they have songs on there called Return of the Ice Age and The Tor Tyrant.
I'm going to guess fake.
That is a real band. Wormflem. There's 4. So I can fake you out. Hey, there we go. Next we have Inverted Wombat, an avant-garde black and crust punk band from Vancouver, known for bizarre album art and a mascot named Scrit. And they have an album called Marsupial Blasphemy, and with songs on it called Tail First Into the Void and Joey of Eternal Pain.
I'm going to guess fake.
That is fake. Damn it. Inverted Wombat. Next, we have Crust Punk Wedding Band.
All right.
I love that name. This here is a New York street punk band / crust act that plays fake weddings in dive bars while covered in filth and glitter. They have an album called Till D Beat Do Us Part, with songs on there called The Vows of Vomit, Torn Veil, Torn Vest.
Going into the punk realm makes everything a lot more plausible. Man, I'm going to guess true, but I won't be surprised if it's fake.
No, it is fake. It is fake.
Okay.
I thought you would kind of catch that when I said they only play fake weddings and dive bars.
I could see that shtick working, though, you know?
It could, especially covered in filth and glitter. Mm-hmm. Hey, who knows? Next band is Vomit Remnants, Japanese slam death metal band who is one of Asia's most respected brutal exports. They have an album called Hyper Groove Reality, with songs Die Fast and Blasting and Wire Rope Strangle.
I'm going to say that's true.
That is true. They're actually a real band, and I actually knew about them beforehand. Next, we have a band called Banana Coffin. They're a sludge doom band from Mississippi, and their gimmick, all their lyrics are about fruit and death. They have an album called Rotten Peel Rights, Peel spelled P-E-E-L, and they have a song called Bruised by the Grave and Doleful Burial.
I'm going to say fake.
It is fake. I thought you'd kind of catch that when I said all lyrics are about fruit and death.
I mean, I wouldn't put that past any band. I mean, thematically, it is kind of, I mean, sometimes it works if they pick, a really obscure thing to sing about.
Side project.
Yeah, I don't see that working quite as well. Some of those song titles just didn't sound right.
I mean, way back in the day, I was a drummer in a punk band called Studded Muffin. So there you go.
Anything goes. I mean, any of these.
Oh yeah, you never know. Next, we have the band Total Fucking Destruction, grindcore supergroup formed by Brutal Truth's drummer, pure chaos and anti-establishment rage. They have an album called Hater, and songs like Dude Hammer and Meat Without Feet.
I mean, that all sounds real.
It's absolutely real, yeah. And they're actually pretty well known, Total Fucking Destruction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I've heard that name before, so.
Yeah. Next, we have Mildewed Shrine. This is a two-person funeral doom act from Oregon who only record in abandoned chapels. They have an album called Spores of Sorrow, with songs on there called Decay, Benediction, and Moss on the Altar.
I'm going to say fake.
That is fake. So
yeah, too many bands trying to record in abandoned places. You gave that one away.
Yeah. Trying to be funny is also making it more difficult to trick you. So
yeah.
Next, we have a band called Bleeding IKEA. This is a Swedish metalcore band that only sings about furniture and emotional trauma. The album packaging comes flat packed, like the hardware that comes with the IKEA packaging. They have an album called Hex Key to My Heart, with songs on there called Assembling the Void and Billy's Book of Pain.
Yeah, I'm going to say fake, but part of me wishes it was real.
Yeah, I would love an IKEA-themed band. That would be awesome. Yeah, that is fake. Then we have a band called Goat Diaper. This is a grindcore duo from Arkansas who perform in thrift store baby onesies with goat masks. And they have an album called Pasture of Filth and songs called Meconium Massacre and Bleat the Parents.
Yeah, that sounds real.
That is fake.
Nah, okay.
Yeah. I thought Bleat the Parents would kind of would fuck me up there.
With grindcore bands and punk bands, you just song titles can be way out there.
Next, we have a band called Clit Gore. This is a Romanian gore grind band with shock humor themes and prominent female vocals. They have an album called The Final Cunt Down. They have songs on that album called Your Smile Looks Better on My Cock and Love Suck Cadaver Cock.
That sounds real.
It is real. I thought
Yeah.
for sure that would trip you up. Oh, man. Clit gore? I mean, come on.
Sounds real. I mean, I've seen enough metal band names in my life to, get most of these right.
Yeah. And that was all I had. I mean, I think that's plenty, but I was actually going to be surprised if I faked you out massively because, I mean, some of they just sound so ridiculous. And then trying to come up with their little bio was kind of fun. So
Yeah, I'm sure that was a fun exercise. Like, you got a few of them past me, man. That was fun.
Yeah. And hey, if there's any listeners out there, tell us how you did. I'm kind of curious at how many of those you thought were real.
And if anybody wants to use any of those or steal any of those, just give us credit in the album cover or something. We're fine with you using them.
And I think my favorite was Rectal Glacier or Goat Realtor.
I liked Goat Realtor. Yeah, that was a good one.
That was pretty fun.
I would listen to that band.
So would I.
All right. Well, that does it for our topic. Let's move on to pickups. Have you picked up anything cool recently, Christian?
Well, I got my order in from Nuclear Blast, so I'll just go by kind of quick. I got 2 Hammerfall albums, 3 Soilwork albums, a Beast in Black album, 2 Creator albums, the Dimmu album, Eonian, a Cradle of Filth album I didn't have. That was all from Nuclear Blast. And then my main pick from our last episode, Misfire, I ordered that album along with the previous one. Both of those came in. And I picked up Benediction's last album, Scriptures. I picked that up at a local store. And that's a
nice.
lot.
That is a lot.
A lot more than it should be. But I mean, when you have that sale at Nuclear Blast was just too fucking good, man.
It was a really good deal.
Albums there for vinyl. There were certain ones on there that were like $7-8, man.
Yeah, I bought 6 myself, and all of mine were like $13 or less. I mean, it's great for vinyl. Yeah, so I got 2 Soilwork albums, a Celeste album, a Beast in Black album, and 2 Cradle of Filth albums for like $68 or something. So
yeah, it was crazy.
Great deal.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm trying to fill up that Soilwork discography because I like all their albums. I just never purchased them on vinyl, and they're not easy to get. Or they weren't.
Right.
Thankfully, represses are, making their way through. Plus, those, I'd never been able to get those 2, the very first 2 Hammerfall albums. Mm-hmm. And I absolutely, positively love both of those albums. They are so well done. I haven't been super enthused with stuff Hammerfall have put out over the last probably decade or so. It kind of seems like they're treading water a little bit. But man, those first 4 or 5 albums were so fucking good.
Cool. Anything else, or is that
no? That's all I got.
Just the albums. Cool.
Yep.
Well, so I picked up those albums I just mentioned, but I also ordered the Jade album that I talked about earlier on Bandcamp, and I also bought the Doomsday album that came out earlier this year. I'm not the hugest thrash guy. I really love the Warfield album that came out this year, and that Doomsday album. It's full of these really incredible progressive elements and, a little bit of technical elements. And if you haven't heard that Doomsday album, it's excellent. I don't think we really talked about it enough on the show, but it's very high on my mid-year list as well. So it's good stuff. And then last night, I had the opportunity to go and see Sidon and Volcandra on tour. They played at the End in Houston, which is a venue I'd never been to before, and I'm not sure how quickly I'll be rushing to get back there since there's no parking. But the show itself was phenomenal. They were opened by 2 local bands. One of them is called Lethal Agent, kind of a straightforward death metal band. They were really good. I was actually very impressed by their performance. If you like straightforward death metal, they have an EP that's out right now. It's pretty good. And then another band called Chironex, which put out an album last year, and it's kind of like a mixture of progressive death metal with some nu metal elements. Wasn't a tremendous fan of the nu metal hip hop kind of stuff and the clean singing, but musically they were really good. And then Volcandra, I don't know if people remember this far back, but when they released their last album, I think it's Rise of the Ancients or something like that, I liked it, but I didn't love it. I thought their previous album was a lot better.
Yeah. Yeah,
But I've since, in preparation for going to the show last night, gone back and listened to that album a whole bunch, and it's really grown on me. And then seeing them perform, they were so good. They're just very, very excellent live. And then Sidon, of course, just like last time I saw them, just fucking blew the roof off the place. They were so tight, even tighter than they were at Hell's Heroes. Like, they played damn near perfectly. And it was cool to get to hang out with Splatterpunk before the show, and we talked a lot about what this tour has been like for them and the upcoming tour with Tomaroom, which he only has like a week and a half break in between the two. Apparently the tour's been going super well because they've sold out of almost all their merch. They had no shirts left. You know, a bunch of other stuff was very low stock. So they ordered new shirts before the Tomaroom tour starts, but they had nothing for me last night, unfortunately. So hopefully by the time you get to see them, Christian, they'll have new stuff, because I don't know if you've seen the new design, but the green shirt is very cool. I might have you pick me up one if they have it in my size.
All right.
But yeah, that was a great show. And then I got my tickets for the Rivers of Nile show in June, even though I'm not as enthusiastic about the new album as I was before I heard it. But we'll talk about that when it comes out. And then a huge tour, one that I was never expecting to come to the U.S., got announced this week. You know, Black Braid, Lamp of Murmur, and Dodsrit, they've been doing Europe tours for like a couple of months now. And every time I would see that flyer come across my feed, I would just be like, damn, that looks like an amazing show. I wish we could get something like that here. And wish granted, we are. And so they're going to be coming to Dallas in September. So at least me and a couple of people from here are going to be driving up there to see that show. So I'm very excited for that. And I think they're going to be hitting somewhere in your neck of the woods too, right?
Yeah, they're going to be in Minneapolis. I'll drive up there for that.
Yeah, it's a
it's a 4.5 hour drive, but it's worth it.
Yeah, same here. I mean, I wouldn't drive to Dallas for many shows, but I'll definitely go for that. So very excited about that. And
because honestly, all three of those bands are fucking just incredible. So
yeah. That does it for my pickups. So moving on to the extreme submissions. So this one was submitted by a longtime listener of the show, Rivas Arturo. He's been talking to me for a few months, and he always has all these recommendations of local bands from his country in Mexico and other people that he knows from other places. And I've listened to a lot of them, and we get so many submissions that it's very hard to promote every band because we only put out the show once every 2 weeks. So, we don't always get to everything, but one of the bands he sent me, I really liked, and I shared it with Christian earlier today, and he really liked it as well. And it's the band Sardonic Witchery, which is one of his friends who's a live guitarist for Why Their Sake, who we talked about in the last episode. This is his solo black metal project. And the name of the album is called Barbaric Evil Power. It's black metal from Portugal. Has a ton of melody. This song is very fast, very aggressive, and it's very catchy, like even from the beginning riffs. I thought it was just a lot of fun. The whole album's pretty good. So if you like this, I highly recommend checking it out. It's different. It doesn't sound like a lot of other melodic black metal I've heard. Part of that is the vocals, because it's sang in Portuguese. It just sounds a little bit different. And part of it is the actual melody. There's some really creative melodies in the album throughout. So what did you think of it, Christian?
I dug it a lot. I even liked the more stripped down nature of it. And usually that's not my thing. They kind of reminded me like if Chrome Division moved away from, the more rock and roll kind of sound, and, they leaned heavier into the black metal stuff. But I could definitely see this band, like maybe their next album or the one after that would be like, whoa, there's definitely something there. I don't think everything comes together on this album as a whole, but this song is excellent. If they had, like 5 or 6 or 7 more songs just like this one, it as the catchy nature of it, they would have a phenomenal fucking album. So yeah. I definitely see that this band could definitely go somewhere. They definitely have something here.
I think so too. So anyways, thanks to Rivas Arturo for submitting this to us. We're going to go and play the track. Again, this is Sardonic Witchery off of their album Barbaric Evil Power, and the track that we're playing is Lusitanian Wolf. So hope you guys enjoy it, and we will see you back in a couple weeks.
See you soon.
Sacred